Camera action.
Well, wait a minute, he's going to take the...
Okay, this is the infamous helmet collection. It's August 17th, 2004. So everybody can hear me. And everybody thought I was crazy, and now you can see that I was, but somebody else is crazy too. The steel helmet thing, I'm not sure where it all started, but my uncle wore a steel helmet in World War I. The impetus of the whole thing started in about 1915 when the French decided that they needed something to protect them from the shell fragments that were raining down. And so the French designed one. A guy named Adrian, General Adrian, designed this one. And it's a simple helmet, not difficult, but it had the crest on top, which you can see. This is kind of a vestige of the old crests that they had on the big plumed helmets that they used to wear back in the good old days. Really, the use of helmets ended in about the 1500s when the rifles and artillery and everything and made them basically obsolete because they couldn't protect them with the helmets that they had. So for many, many years, up through about the Civil War, they didn't have any helmets or very few helmets, and so some of the men started wearing little skull caps, steel skull caps, to stop the shell particles that were raining down on them. Airburst artillery are really what got the thing going, because they'd fire a shell into the air over the trenches and then explode it there, and it would just blast shell particles down. And they were losing lots and lots of people that never even got to see the war. Didn't know who shot at you or why. And so as a consequence, the French came up with this idea, and it was about General Adrian who came up with this particular design. This is an infantry emblem here. This is the French infantry, and it was a four-part helmet. It was simple, it was very light, but it was better than nothing, and not really the best protection in terms of solving the problem which they had. Whoops. And they decided that they needed one, so they designed what they called the Brody, which is the one before this one. This is a World War I American helmet. I don't know if it was made in the United States or in Great Britain, but the British immediately started some tests and came up with what they called the Brody, and then made the Mark I, which I don't have. But this particular one, I believe, is probably British made, because immediately after the Brits made them, they made $1 million for the American Expeditionary Force, which came over in 1918. So this is probably a Brit helmet. That was the next one. The Germans at the same time were coming up with a design. Dr. Schwerd designed this one. The shape should be very familiar to you. That's the World War I M16 German helmet. Very simple suspension, 3 pads, basically the same as this, and this one had a little bit different suspension in it, but the whole idea was to protect them from all the shell fragments that were raining down on them. This particular thing has the Frankenstein knobs on it, if you've seen that. These are really ventilation holes, but they also provided for what they called a stern panzer, which was about a 1/4-inch plate of steel which fit over this, so that the guy, when he was sticking his head up over the thing, running a machine gun or something, he didn't get nailed, because these things are not proof against a rifle and most pistols. But they were better than nothing. The camouflage that you see on this is all original. This one was, picked this up from a lady who had it and didn't know what she had. I told her it should be in a museum. This is an M16. You can tell by the connectors down here. On the M17, they moved them into the support suspension system on the inside. World War II movies, you can see some of these and a lot of the others, a lot of the M35-40s, which I'll show you in just a moment. Oh, let's see. As I say, this was the first American one, the M17. M17.
Is that the one that you're...
This is the one my Uncle Fred wore.
That's the one he wore. Can you tell us about that just for a minute?
Sure.
Because we missed that part.
Yeah, okay.
What did Uncle Fred do in the war?
Fred drove the quad trucks. He was a ammunition truck driver. He load and unload ammunition for the big guns. This is the one that he wore. This is the one that Ann and I played with when we were little. It's fairly delicate. It's an oilcloth liner, which has all been coming loose, so we have to be quite careful with it. Now, this is the M17A1, which is the first fully American helmet. And this one you'll see has a leather lining, all designed in leather. This replaced this one and came into action about 1925 to 1941. If you've seen old movies like Wake Island or some of the early battles of the war, this is the helmet they were wearing because the M1 had not been put together yet, hadn't been distributed. But this is a 17A1. Now, from the American standpoint, okay, where's the American M1? This is the American steel helmet during most of the Second World War. It was very nicely done. This particular helmet is the one that I hung on the wall, and this was my bank. this
What?
I used it for my bank. I could hang it up on the wall by the straps here, and it was up high enough and nobody could see inside of it, and I kept all my paper money, paper out money in there.
And didn't Grandma Nona, when she was cleaning one time, she dumped it out?
Oh, she discovered it, yeah. I didn't have many secrets from my mother.
That has an inside helmet to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a little bit different in that it has a liner. This is the, it's a nice design. It has a liner in it, which is essentially a duplicate of the exterior. And they used this for a sun helmet, anything they wanted when they didn't have to wear the steel. It became very handy because this became a good wash basin, or they did recommend that you not cook in them, but it was available for almost everything else and was used for almost everything else.
What was liner made of?
Liner is, it started off as a paper. It was a compressed paper. They're very rare nowadays. You can't find them because they deteriorated very rapidly. And not too many people have any of those in their collections. They're quite pricey now. You can pick them up for $450 or $500 if you really want them.
How protective were these helmets actually? I mean, like if you got hit
Quite
on,
effective against shell particles.
What about bullets and stuff?
Bullets, they wouldn't stop. No, unless they hit a glancing blow.
What does the M stand for? M1 or M17?
Model.
Model.
Or Mark 1. Now this is a late helmet, same basic construction, same everything. This is one that was probably used in the Vietnamese War, or the Korean War, either one. But same basic construction, a little bit different liner. My interest in these silly things was basically in the design that they had for protection, what they thought was important, and the suspension system, how they provided to support them on their head so they wouldn't get banged around too much. This was the late 50s. Let's see, where's the SGT. This is the personal armor system for ground troops. This one has a Desert Storm cover on it. But this is the Kevlar helmet. This is the one that they call the Fritz, and you can see why, because it looks a lot like the German. The interesting thing that you see is that the helmets, the modern helmets, all look very much alike, all very much similar in terms of construction, in terms of how they're put together, in terms of the suspension that they use. So that's kind of where that...
Now, what's the benefits of Kevlar?
It's much better from a ballistic standpoint. It'll repel more, has much better resistance to perforation, fragments, bullets, and everything. These will stop a pistol bullet. They will not stop a...
What?
They'll stop a pistol bullet, but they probably will not stop a rifle. Okay, now some of these others. This is a Russian helmet here. This is a late Russian. This particular one, and I'll show you some other Russian helmets. This particular one has the less expensive 4-gore system here, and it's very, very adjustable. Because the idea was that when you had wearing helmets in the winter, you wanted something on under to keep you warm, because these had absolutely no warmth at all. Okay, so this thing could be expanded out to cover something to keep your head warm.
Is that leather?
No, this is basically an oilcloth.
Oilcloth.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell them how you got this when
This
we were
one I
over in
got.
Russia.
Now that one I didn't get in Russia.
Oh, you didn't get
This
that
I
one?
got in Russia.
Where was the one you got in Russia?
It's
We
over
were
here
there.
someplace. Now the French, once they got through with this, in about the mid-20s, they went to the M26. Okay, the French one.
This is French or British?
This is French. This one's French. Yeah. Okay, now the Brits went through quite a sequence of their particular stuff. Their initial helmet was very much like the American World War I. Okay, in fact, it was basically the same helmet, except that they had a very much simpler liner. This was the Brit helmet of the late 30s and 40s. This is the Mark II. Okay, has the net on it because they'd stick sticks and stones and whatever they wanted in here to break up the contours. You can see most of these things have a very definite shape. So anytime they were used in battle, they usually had either a cover on them, something, either cloth or a net. If you see it in the old war movies, you'll see them with nets on there as they were landing at D-Day.
Did they put branches or sticks?
Yeah, branches and sticks in here.
And leaves? Okay.
Yeah, leaves to
Oh.
confuse the enemy. This particular thing has a suspension system that's really quite comfortable. And it also screws in. You have to unscrew this to take the liner out. And an interesting thing here, they didn't really have enough elastic, so what they did was put two springs under a piece of fabric, okay, on both sides. Now, this is the British Mark I, or Mark II. Now, the Mark III, this is this one's a Mark III. Oops. No, this is the 4, I'm sorry. The 3 and 4 look almost the same. The difference...
Hi there. Hi there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the Mark III, Mark IV, and Mark V all look very much the same. The suspensions are slightly different. They have an oilcloth suspension, but this has a lift-the-dot suspension in here, and the idea was to make it more like the Americans. And you can just lift this up. If I just lift this up, then the whole suspension comes out. You can use it like a pot. Okay, that was the idea. 5, in which they put a sock liner. Okay, sock fabric liner, make very comfortable, and the strap was elastic.
Wouldn't that also make it really hot?
Well, I don't know. Never had to wear one, but it made it much more comfortable, I think. Now the next British helmet was that's the Mark III, 4, and 5 were very similar. This is the Mark. Very comfortable also. Big helmet. This is the paratroop suspension, but they use it for all their services. This one is Kevlar or nylon.
So did the paratroopers have different helmets then?
Yeah, well, basically the idea was that when you jumped out of the airplane, a wind stream would take your helmet off, or pull it up and pull it back, and so they put straps coming from back here down to tie it all together. So,
Oh, like a bike helmet.
yeah, very much like a bike helmet.
And what year was that one put into place?
This is about the 1980s. The period for steel helmets ran from about 1915 to 1980. About 70. Okay. Now, a lot of other people got involved in it. The Germans, this was their first helmet, the 16, and then they had a Model 17. As I indicated, you'll see a lot of those in the old war movies you see. Now, this is the classic M3540. This has the national colors on the right and the eagle swastika on the left. Now, this was the standard helmet during the Second World War. Okay?
How did you get that one?
Wait,
Oh.
come back, see one of the pictures.
I think I bought it.
When?
But, oh, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
I remember that when I was young.
Gift off a helmet that a guy brought back from Europe for me, who was in the war. He was a photographer over there, and I asked him to pick me up a helmet, and that was it.
What's on the side of that one?
This one has the eagle,
The swastika.
eagle swastika. This is the Air Force. This is the Luftwaffe.
I've seen that in movies.
35, 40. They started off with a design. When Hitler got in, they redesigned things pretty well. And in the Hitler movies or anything at that time, you'll see both of these helmets because they intermixed them. This one has the colors on the national colors on one side, and then the eagle swastika on the other.
So were the national colors the black and
Yeah,
red
black,
and
black, white, and red.
Black, red, and yellow.
Are they yellow? Okay, that's the New Jersey. This is actually quite a comfortable helmet. Nice helmets. The new American helmets, like the ASGT, comes in a small, medium, and large, and then with liners that go with it. The Germans used, most of the folks used, well, like this one, the original German. They had the pads in here, and to change sizes, you put little pads of things underneath them. They had little special little pads of, you know, all kind of horsehair or cloth or whatever they had, or felt, and you just build it out to the size helmet that you wanted. Let's see, what else? Now, those are going to have helmets for their military, so they started building. This particular one is a Danish helmet. Picked this up in Denmark. This is the M23, which is 1923, is when this one was designed. And you can see they got a little different approach to how they protect things. See a big dangle on the side.
Take the tag out. Hold on, quick, put it on, put it on.
That's
Put it
okay.
on. You gotta
That's
do
all
that.
right.
come on, Grandpa.
While they're sticking it
Wait, one more time, Grandpa. Keep it on.
This is the Danish helmet, 1923. Okay, but they used these right up through the Second World War. This was at 21. This
Swedish?
is the one that they used. Again, the 3-pad suspension inside with adjustable. When you look at the back of the pad, there's big places to put
What
padding.
country is that?
Hi there. Sweden. Yeah, this is Sweden. Yeah. You'll see the crests on the front. The Swedish crest, the 3 crowns, and then they got them on here also. 3 crowns.
What is
No, this is Swedish.
Okay.
What are the
This is early Swede, yeah. The Swedes stayed with this particular shape pretty good long time.
Okay.
You note here that this has a suspension very similar to the M1, or the American M1. No band, all adjustable, and again, it's quite comfortable. But a number of improvements, but the basic shape of the thing is exactly the same. Let's see.
Question.
Do they
Why
want
do
to
they-
use those
why do they
papers and they don't?
Evolved from the wider rim to the almost no rim at all.
Well, the idea was to protect as much of the head as you can. Let me find here's the Swiss. This is the Swiss helmet. It's no, it's okay. This has a cover, but again, you'll see the 3-pad suspension. Many of them use the 3 pads because it's easy and inexpensive. The shape of this one is very different also. It's more like the.
Put the tag up on the inside again.
Well,
Tag was a picture.
that protects his head. This protects a little bit of his shoulders.
Can you?
There we go.
It's
The World War II Russian helmet. Okay, again, the 3-pad suspension. The basic shape. This is the basic shape of Russian helmets forever. I showed you the 4-pad version of this, which was the winter version. And then they have also one that is what they call a real peak bell. this bell is much, much deeper than the other one. Again, to try to protect them.
And why would they do that?
To protect them. Just to put more steel over their heads.
Is there a Russian flag or anything on that one?
No, they didn't put flags on them. They put stars.
Oh,
Here's one with a star on it. This is the Russian star. Okay, red star.
oh, it's red.
Designed this one. Now this one again has kind of the German suspension in it, but again the basic Russian shape. Because all of the Eastern Bloc basically used the same helmet. Okay, with slightly different suspensions.
Oh,
Were those made of steel?
What?
Those weren't made of
No,
steel?
no, they're made of boiled leather. Yeah, and they fit down, had a little bib, and usually a spike on top, and the spike could be taken off. Then it usually had a big emblem on the front of the German Army. Most of those they're very pricey now, and they're getting so old and shrinking so far that you can't find one that'll get on your head anymore.
What about the one that has like a tree in it?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Czechoslovak. This was the one that was Czechoslovakia, and this says the Czech cross on the side of it. Okay.
Okay.
Again, fairly simple helmets, but you know they didn't design them to be expensive. They designed to try to protect them. Here's another. Now this is the German M42, which has the same basic liner, but much simpler to build. If you compare this to the 3540, this one has a nice rolled edge in there. Okay, it took 14 stamping operations to make that, to build the helmet. This one took 4 stamping operations, so it simplified the design and the manufacture substantially. No rolled edge, you know, just belled out. The basic suspensions are very much the same.
How are they made?
Basically stamping process.
Like a piece of sheet metal?
Piece of sheet metal, yeah.
Heated
Stamped
up?
Blank, heated up, put it in a press, stomp it down. Depending on how complex the shape was and what kind of a finish you want on it, depending on how many heat treat the operations you gave it or how many stamping operations you used. This is one, what they call the 2734. You see, they had kind of a different idea of what shape protected their people. And this one also had a little hole in the rear of it so that they could hang that on their packs and back. But this one didn't last very long. When the Germans overran Holland, most of these were sent to Eastern Europe. But that's the Dutch. The Spanish, you're familiar with the Spanish Civil War, 36 through 39. This was the M26 Spanish, and you know it's a little rougher in terms of finish and the workmanship that went into it.
Take the little pink thing off so they can
Yeah. The lining is very similar to the German, except it's much less expensive, much less money spent on it. The emblem on the front is of the nationalists who eventually won it. That's the M26. Now this was you see a definite shape there. That's the Italian M26 shape.
Can you turn around so we can see the...
You ought to recognize this one. This again is the German shape. This is the M42, but again with a very simplified Spanish suspension, and not nearly as sophisticated as the German, but again with the emblem on the front. Spanish. Let's see. A very sophisticated liner suspension system. Again, see the way it's held together. It's a very, very comfortable helmet, and it fits.
take the little pink, always
We're entertained.
Steel?
Steel, this one's steel, but it has a cover on it to provide the camouflage. And again, all these loops and things are stick branches and things.
About what year was that?
This is about 1968.
And was steel
They used
used?
this up through about 1980, and then they switched to a Kevlar also.
Was steel used more than Kevlar, or was Kevlar just not invented?
Kevlar hadn't been invented. All they had
Okay.
was steel. All they had was steel. Let's see. The East Germans used this. And the West Germans used 62, which they used up to probably late 80s.
And that's the rest.
This is West German. But again, it's the M1 shape. If I could take the cover off it, the shape is identical to the M1. The East Germans went to this shape. Slightly different, just a pan. Again, with a fairly simple liner on it, and foam padding, and just a, everybody has their own idea.
Which one is the M1?
This is the one like the American. This is the German post-war.
Okay, the M1 is the American
The
one?
M1 is the American,
Did the Japanese have any helmets?
yeah. Yeah, they did. But I didn't buy any of them because they're all that expensive. Look at this one. Edge off, the bell off of here, and the lining is basically identical.
The linings didn't change much.
Not much, yeah.
Pretty much the same.
The
Just the shape.
European linings in the middle of the
What year is that one?
This is about 1937.
Are these arranged chronologically or
No, they're
by
not.
countries?
Well, I would arrange them by countries, and these aren't arranged by anything right now.
I found the other French one.
Did you?
There were a bunch of Moroccan officers visiting the National Guard. The general wanted a quick Moroccan exhibit put up down at the National Guard headquarters. So we scavenged it temporarily to go down there.
Borrowed it,
It's on exhibit at the National Guard headquarters down in Draper.
Okay, good.
Morocco was a French protector.
Good.
It's on exhibit where?
In Draper.
Draper.
National Guard.
Okay.
Let's check that out.
This one is an East German paratroop helmet.
Thank you. Find it out.
This is the East German paratroop helmet. And it won't fit anybody that I know of. Yeah, it might fit others, it can. Again, it's an
Are
interesting helmet.
the flaps so that it doesn't blow off?
Got a small
What?
head.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
that's right,
wear
so
it?
doesn't blow off. Yeah, the
Yeah,
whole
okay,
idea.
I'll do it.
There we go.
Hey, turn around.
That's the East German paratroops.
How are you?
It's you, Linda.
Thank you. I'll wear it with my motorcycle.
Adrian, and this was the M33 Italian, which they used all during the Second World War. Some of them had this, they had a little dilly bob that stuck up here and you could stick a feather up in it if you wanted. If you see pictures.
Pretty cool that they
VHS still
used one of the helmets.
No, I didn't get them on a couple different types of media. So then, no.
Is it pretty?
I've tried to
What?
No, I meant it's like by the design, for some of them, don't want to sort of slot together for a helmet or
this is the Danish one. Swiss one.
Where's Mommy? Where's Mommy, Isaac? Where's Mommy?
Filming my legs.
I don't play in any of those newspapers.
A little bit better. It's because they're richer. East people from West
Yeah, this is, you know, when you see the battle of when you talk about British soldiers, usually you think about a hat like this. When they invaded Europe, June 6th, this is the helmet they were